Hello everyone. It's Max from the English Speaking Hub, and today I've decided to merge different formats together. Um, After having taken a long break, what I've noticed is that my English, has deteriorated to the point that I'm no longer able to convey myself, properly, right? I'm struggling to find words to articulate some basic primitive stuff that I used to be able uh, to, you know, spell out as quickly as you can imagine, right? Even now, there is some kind of a lag, right? I'm always one step behind, and it kind of drives me crazy. Uh, so uh, that was essentially like the salient reason that you can chalk up my enthusiasm. When it comes to speaking practices. Like each of these videos is probably gonna serve mm, as a nice way to gauge my progress, if there is any, right? Because when you're just looking back, like in hindsight, as to how how you used to be able to express yourself and the way you do it now, um, it's tricky, to measure like whether or not you've made any progress per se, right? Because a lot of stuff just goes unnoticed. Some things just, in terms of importance, take a backseat to others. For instance, like when it comes to the acquisition of vocabulary, I reckon like it's one of the most like prominent things that immediately hijacks your attention when you learn something new, but with small what would you say, like almost unnoticeable things. Once again, like it's more challenging. So yeah, like hopefully, like fingers crossed, touch wood. um yeah like It'll be a nice way to watching this videos is going to be um great for like spotting some of the basic mistakes that I've been making. And yeah, without further ado, let's begin. The expression that we're gonna try to bake, the expression that I'll try to bake into my active speech today is to flip the switch. As you probably can see from the screen, right? To flip the switch means to make a sudden and decisive change, often from one state or condition to another, such as changing behavior or attitudes or actions quickly. Uh, just to map everything out for you, the way everything is going to be organized is as simple as it gets. I'll try to answer some of the questions, so uh, that definitely going to entail a lot of yapping, right? A bunch of nothing. Some of you are going to find it interesting, others probably, will not. But we'll see. Like, even if it's not gonna, wind up being as riveting, as enthralling as I imagine it would be for me. Yeah, like it's still nice, right? It's a step in the right direction, because prior to that, I've been chronically procrastinating. Literally anything is better than that, I guess. So the first question is, what kind of news could flip the switch in you, turning anxiety into focus and decisiveness? Uh, well, that's a tough one for me. But then, come to think of it, maybe it isn't. So I reckon, like when there is a looming deadline or anything of that nature that is on the cards, um, it's almost like by default flips the switch in you. And when there is this great sense of urgency, especially if there are like time constraints that you have to um, kind of like abide by. um, I believe there is virtually like no wiggle room for anxiety in the first place. Maybe initially, like before, approaching a task or whatever, right? Uh, you might have all of this like stress and anxiety inducing ideas in your mind. Uh, but then I mean, virtually always they're being pushed to somewhere at pushed at the periphery of your mind, right? Like you just put them on the back burner, and almost sometimes unbeknownst to you, you forget about them. So yeah, because like you have a task at hand that hijacks your attention almost entirely. So that's one of the things. As for others, um, what kinds of news? Bad news, I guess. But then again, it's difficult to highlight the exact type of news because like there is this broad spectrum, um, and the one like chief aspects that unites all of this like different types of news together is once again like the sense of urgency, and yeah, like that's in my opinion, the crux of it all, and what's usually most things boil down to. Alrighty, so the second question: why do naysayers flip the switch and some people driving them to work hard to prove them wrong? What do you think causes this reaction? Some people are just wired differently. So people like who are more, what would you say, strong-minded in a way, right? Uh, they they receive like negative criticism, um, and obviously like the knee-jerk tendency is to once again like let this negativity rub off on you. Uh, but what is different in their case is they try to channel like this negative energy in a positive way. So they're trying to kind of like take advantage of it. They try to harness it. Whereas people like you know who might be uh, who might lose like this, what would you say, like psychological equilibrium when they encounter naysayers, um, they kind of like conversely um, cannot really keep this negativity at bay, right? They just kind of like succumb to it instead of using it as a fuel. So yeah, like instead of galvanizing them, it kind of like paralyzes them. So that's the difference. Why does it happen? I mean, you can chalk it up to once again like genetics. You can put it down to different upbringings, different temperaments, and what have you. I have no idea. So if I had to wager a guess, uh, mm, I presume that it has more to do with temperament than anything else. Obviously, um, you can inculcate certain like attributes in a person, but this, what would you say, like internal drive, mm, it's difficult to teach. So, and even different environments, they're not necessarily like even tough environments, right? They're not necessarily conducive to developing such a strong reaction. Like that's what my take on it is. Is there anything that flips the switch in you after work, helping you unwind and relax? Physical exercises, I guess, flip the switch in me. 9 times out of 10, it is they help to kind of like snap out of I don't know, like a certain like frame of mind, right? So like it helps you to kind of like recalibrate your thinking. Um, yeah, I believe that primarily it should be attributed to sedentary lifestyle. So me, like being, initially a software engineer after I graduated from uni, and then transitioning into project management. Um, yeah, like in my case, I mean, I didn't have any like physically laborious or taxing line of work. So yeah, like and because of that, I just have to kind of like I just have to counteract all the negatives of like being, virtually shackled to my chair and my desk for, a huge chunk of the day. Um, okay, so does running into obstacles flips the switch in you? Does running into obstacles flip the switch in you, whittling away at your confidence? I'm the fence on this one. Um, depends on the kind of obstacles that I'm running into. So some of them, are more like manageable, and yeah, like I can kind of like overcome like different like types of adversities. But some of them seem kind of insurmountable. So and this kind of obstacles, they definitely, whittle away at your confidence, chip away at your just motivation, right? Because there is no solution like that springs to mind that helps you to address them. So to address this kind of obstacles, and yeah, like it oftentimes just overwhelms you and baffles you, if I'm being honest. So um, I have no idea like whether there is any buffer or a hedge against it, but yeah, like that. Yeah, like when I think about it, like that's what my attitude towards obstacles is. Some of them can break you, some of them can make you a better person, and yeah, like that's why it is so vital to kind of like to oftentimes brace yourself for certain like difficulties instead of forcing yourself to um, flip the switch like in the midst of a crisis. So yeah, what kind of compliments might flip the switch in you and bolster your confidence? Compliments that are primarily based on the amount of effort that I put into something, the amount of time that I allocate to something, not just talent or serendipity. Like when someone, tells you, uh, I don't know, like you have such a good command of English, right? You must be extremely talented, right? uh, I mean, it kind of makes you a disservice in a way because, yeah, I mean, I've actually like spent a humongous amount of time, a colossal amount of time to, you know, get to this level. Obviously, now it's like, you know, it is to say like that, you're not as great, but I mean, it just got rusty. I reckon like in a matter of a month or two, I'll get back on track. Uh, but yeah, like when people attribute certain types of achievements to things that are not under your control, essentially. So yeah, like that actually whittles away at your confidence, and the type of compliments that are, you know that hinge on your effort, on the amount of time, effort, and energy, all these things. Yeah, like they are. Yeah, like they conversely bolster your confidence instead. Can you recall a wake up call that flipped the switch in you and led to a significant change? Um, uh, I had different like types of wake up calls. Some of them were good, some of them weren't. Um, I remember like when I was playing hockey, like semi professionally. I um, wasn't chosen as the best option like in my team, and Yeah, I remember I was so livid, just just beyond belief, to the point that it actually flipped the switch in me, and I started training like maniacally for around like a year or two, and that in turn, you know, uh, yielded huge results. But yeah, like later on, I still, some other things put paid to my career eventually. So yeah, like that was tough, especially considering like that it's like it's close to midnight already. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm gonna do on a daily basis for around a month, I guess. I'll try to practice my English pronunciation in advance, and couple it together with vocabulary acquisition, and yeah, like theoretically, hypothetically at least, it should bring like the best dividends. So hopefully hopefully you've found it useful. Um, so cheers everyone. See you next time.